Hey everybody, it's Heather and happy Sunday. Welcome to Mystic Musings. I'm so glad you're here. So today I'm going to talk about another murder, but I felt like it still had a place because it's very weird. There's elements of the occult and it's really weird and disturbing and bloody and gory. So I thought, hey, who wouldn't want to hear about this, right? So welcome. Let's just jump right in. In 1932, an African American leader of a religious order with about 100 members confessed to a brutal murder of James Smith. Now, Harris, the person who confessed, admitted that he crushed Smith's head with the rear axle of an automobile and then stabbed him through the heart because, when you kill somebody, you want to make sure they're really dead. And then Harris apparently dragged Smith to this homemade altar at his house to finish the job. Okay, so apparently in the late 20s, early 30s, this was kind of a common thing in Detroit. They had a problem with religious cults. So that's always exciting. Moving on, 3 years earlier, on a July 4th weekend, Benny Evangelista, known as Divine Prophet, was murdered along with his 4 children and his wife with an axe. So obviously axe murders are going to be very bloody, they're going to be very messy, but this one was particularly terrible. The Evangelista home was torn apart, it was a mess, and Benny Evangelista, his head was not only severed, but then moved from his body and placed on a couch in the living room. Santina, Benny's wife, and Jean, who was 8, Angelia, who was 9, Margaret, who was 10, and Mario, who was only a year old, were also brutally murdered in the house. One of the daughter's arms was removed, but the police thought that probably it was an accident because it looked like the blow had meant to get her head, because apparently her neck was just hanging by a string. And so probably what happened was that maybe he was coming down or something and got arm instead of neck. Regardless, he missed. So yes, Benny's neighbor came over the next day, I guess. I think they had plans to do something because they had been in talks just the day before. And when he showed up, he saw Benny's hacked up body and obviously ran out of there and got the police. They had a very, very public funeral because the police were hoping, just like they do today, that if they did this, the killer would come to sort of bask in what he had done. But unfortunately, to no avail. If he was there, they didn't know. So Benny was an herb doctor, which essentially means he kind of sold himself as a witch doctor. So he'd, promise love potions and curses and, all sorts of black magic and things like that for a very, very big sum of money. So clearly everyone immediately jumped to the conclusion that he had pissed off a client to the point that they got an axe and sought their own kind of justice for it. So back to 1932, the murder that I started this video with. When that murder happened, the Evangelista murder had still not been solved, even though police a couple times thought that they had totally figured it out. One headline read, "Confession by King of Weird Cult Clears Up Detroit Murder." But no. But Harris didn't do it. He I think actually tried to say that he had, but he hadn't. And neither did a guy named Angelo DiPoli, who was arrested the day of the murder actually with a very bloody curved knife that he was using to cut bananas in his barn. But why did he have a bloody knife? And why was he cutting up bananas? Who cuts up bananas? Just eat them. Just eat them. This is 1930s. I doubt you were putting them in a blender for a smoothie with your kale. Just eat the bananas. Don't go getting bloody knives involved. I feel like that's not sanitary. You're going to get some sort of staph infection. I'm digressing. So anyway, a year later, police had still not solved this crime, and they were so desperate to do it that they actually tried to blame an escaped lunatic who had died like 2 years before the murder even occurred. So talk about desperation. Like they really, really, really wanted to get this taken care of. But even today, 2015, it'll be 2016 before you know it, no one knows what happened. It is still a cold case. No killer was ever brought to justice. No one ever turned themselves in. No one ever was caught. Nothing. So, just very, very weird. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when there are very, very brutal murders, yes, that's disturbing. And when the brutal murderers have some sort of cult affiliation or religious affiliation, yeah, that's disturbing too. But when you have all of these elements and no information on who did it and what specifically happened, because yes, we can assume that someone who he said, oh, you're going to find the love of your life with this, olive oil, I don't know, probably got upset and killed them. But do you think that that's all that happened? I mean, he chopped them up. He set his head on a couch. He took a little girl's arm off. I mean, there's a lot of anger there. And if it's just because he was given some faulty information, I don't know. I don't know that I really buy that. So, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you have ideas. Tell me if you had a dream in which you solved this murder, and we'll talk about it, because I think it's really interesting, and I would love to see some closure come out of it. But yeah. But yes, I will see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Bye!